as everyone is aware that the exams are starting in around 4 to 5 weeks of times, and many parents are getting really very anxious about what to do in the summer holidays, what sort of resources they can use. And we are getting lots of messages and the emails from many parents asking the similar type of questions. So today we are here to walk you through the last minute revision strategies, which are really, really necessary in order to get the successful outcome in the 11 plus exam. Our primary focus is on walking you through the key strategies, the planners, the exam resources, and our expert guidance. So the way we have arranged today's webinar is I will first introduce me and my team. So my name is Preeti and I'm the founder of Pi Academy. I'm more looking into all the departments in Pi Academy, focusing more towards the content development, the tutoring, as well as running the courses on our website. We have in today's webinar, we also have our English tutor. Her name is Louis, and she is the one who has constantly doing a lot of tutoring and running the courses for the 11 plus exam. She is looking into the 11 plus English side of the preparation for the 11 plus exam. She developed lots of videos and she wrote many answers to the English past paper questions, which are available on our website. Right now, she's also running a lot of summer courses, which are very, very helpful. We call it as a revision booster courses, revision and booster courses for the 11 plus exam. So this is pretty much background about Louis. We have Akanksha. She is looking into the maths department for Pi Academy. She has plenty years of experience in writing many past paper solutions. She's also our product manager, and she is looking into the math side as well as the non-verbal reasoning side for the 11 plus exam. The way we are going to have today's webinar, we are going through a short PowerPoint presentation where our board tutors will walk you through the structure of the 11 plus exam and what sort of boards we are having in the 11 plus exam. Once this presentation is over, then we are having a bit of time for Q&A session. All the parents, they can drop their questions on our Zoom chat and we will start addressing those questions one by one. So welcome, Louis. Good afternoon to you. And I will pass on this PowerPoint presentation to you first and then followed with Akanksha. So here you go. Yeah, you can start, Louis.
Great. Thank you, Preeti, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for that welcome. So as Preeti said, my name is Lois. I am an English tutor, 11 plus English tutor at Pi Academy. So I have plenty of experience working with lots and lots of students over the years, helping them to refine their skills, their preparation for the 11 plus, particularly or just English primarily. So I've got lots of experience with creative writing, comprehension, all the things that you need to know when you're preparing. So I'm going to talk through, first of all, some of the key pointers for English. So I'll just switch over to my own screen. Okay, so we'll start off by just quickly going through what we're going to talk about today, and then I'll go through the exam boards. So today we're thinking about or talking about what is the 11 plus exam, the core subjects that you need to be ready for, the different exam board formats, which is something to, now that we're closer to the exam, be really aware of, assessing your child's readiness for the 11 plus, so looking at areas of weakness, and then our last minute revision tips and strategies, because time is of the essence at this point. So I'll just click through. As I'm sure you all know, this is probably stuff that you're very aware of. 11 plus is used for grammar and independent schools. For grammar, the sort of rough exam time for things to start is September this year, so next month, very close now. Independent schools, you have a little bit longer. January 2024 is when they will start testing there. So this is the real crunch time, as it were, to be really planning and using your time effectively. So you will be likely tested on English, maths, verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. We are focusing more on English and maths today, but it's always worth checking if your particular school is going to be using those 4 subjects. It might be that they choose just to do English and maths. It just depends on the school. So make sure that you are regularly checking the school website to find out which particular exam they will be offering to your child, because every school and every format is different. So this is something that is worth, now that we are close to the time, just make sure, okay, I know exactly which exam board I'm doing, I know the format and I know the subjects. This is when they are very unlikely going to change it at this point. So when it comes to English, there are 3 main exam boards, which I'll talk through. These are GL, Granada Learning, SET, the Selective Eligibility Test, and CSSE, which is the Consortium of Selective Schools in Essex. There was, of course, CEM, but that one is not used so much at the moment. They've more moved over to GL. So if you are missing CEM, that's why it's not so much used. So as you can see from the table here, there is variation as to how these exam boards actually present the questions. So you can see that for GL, they tend to be completely multiple choice with 1 correct option. So if your child is doing GL, they won't be required to write out full sentences for their answers. It also contains a spelling, punctuation, and grammar sections for GL, again, all multiple choice. SET is quite similar, but also different in that it's also multiple choice, but it has its own unique format in that some of the questions will require you to identify more than 1 correct answer. Sometimes they tell you how many there will be, and sometimes they don't. So it's worth being aware of the style if that is the one that your child is going for. There are only a few schools that use that test. So if you are using it, it's likely that you're already quite aware of that. I'm just plugging this in. So SET has a spelling section followed by 2 comprehension texts. It's also unique in that it uses 2 texts rather than just 1. And there will also be a comparative section as well, where you have to compare 2 texts, but it's all multiple choice for that, the spelling and the comparison comprehension. Then finally, CSSE, again, this is just for schools in Essex. So again, you will probably know if this is the board that you are using. This board is different again in that it is descriptive, which means that the answers are often written out in full sentences. So if your child is going to be taking the CSSE test, they need to know, see that they always offer, you can never get full marks unless you use grammar, spag, accurate full sentences properly. Without that, you're probably going to lose half the marks. So they must know that that is something that is required of them. It is a little bit more varied, of course. There aren't just descriptive questions. Sometimes they do include tick the box, multiple choice questions as well. So it's a little bit more varied in terms of the answer type. So I will quickly talk you through a couple of our sample papers that are written in the style of each of these exam boards so that you can see how this would look like, how it would look on the page. So I'll just switch over to my other slide here. So this is GL. As I said before, there are 4 sections. It starts with reading comprehension, followed by spelling exercises, capital letters and punctuation exercises, and then a section which involves sort of like a grammar exercise where you have to find the best group of words. So as I mentioned previously, this is all multiple choice. They will have a passage to read. It's usually a couple of pages long. This one's probably a little longer than you can expect, but it's usually fairly lengthy text, followed by a range of questions, all with 5 choices to choose from in the multiple choice section. These will be a range of different question styles. Some are, as you can see from number 10 here, some are parts of speech, some are vocabulary, some are information retrieval. There are literary devices questions, there are inference questions. It will be a whole range of all the different skills that your child should have been practicing in preparation for comprehension. Then that is followed by the spelling section where you have to identify the spelling mistake or the lack of spelling mistake. Similarly, the capital letters and punctuation task, same thing, identifying mistakes. And then there is the best group of words section, which involves finding the correct word that is going to accurately and grammatically complete the sentence. So I'm sure this is all familiar to those of you who have been preparing for GL. but just make sure that those 4 components are familiar to your child before they take the test. SET is, as I said before, quite different in that it has 2 comprehension texts and a comparison section. Again, as I said, this is all multiple choice. There will be, first of all, a spelling section. You have to identify, incorrectly spelt words or the correct one out of a group of incorrect spellings. Followed by 1 passage, which is usually longer. Text 1 for SET is usually quite a long passage. Then you will have a range of, as I said before, a range of different question styles: inference, vocabulary, literary devices, information retrieval, all the sorts of skills that you should know. Then there is a shorter text for text 2, which I'll just scroll down to here. This tends to be, as I said before, much shorter, but it will be on a similar theme to text 1, which means that they are easy to compare. And then after you've had some questions specifically on text 2, there is section D, which is a comparison question. So for this one, students that are taking SET need to be practicing their comparison skills already. And this is something that you can do with them at home, but I will talk more about that later in the Q&A if anyone would like any further tips. And finally, CSSE, as I said before, it is a slightly more varied in question type. They will give you a text to read, usually around 2 pages. And then you will have a range of questions. As you can see, this one is ticking the box to identify a clear piece of information, identifying phrases from the text, inference and understanding complex phrasing, explaining the meaning of like literary devices and the effect of language. So it's a really more of a varied in terms of how you answer the question, but the skills are the exact same as the 2 other boards. There is also, this is something that the other 2 exam boards do not have, there's also a short applied reasoning section at the end of the CSSE comprehension paper, just 5 questions. And there will also be, for CSSE, a continuous writing section as well. We haven't got an example of that because it's basically just a prompt and a blank sheet. So there will be that as well, which it involves 2 short creative writing tasks that they have to answer as well. So I think I've covered that sufficiently. If I go back to, I think I've covered everything I wanted to mention. So I'll hand over to Akanksha now, who will take over for maths. Yes, over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Lewis. So I'm sharing my screen now. And I'll walk you guys through the 11+ maths exam boards. So just as Lewis mentioned, even in 11+ maths, we have the same GL, CET and CSSE exam boards. GL exam board Renana Learning is known to be very tricky. So if you are preparing for this board, you should make sure that your student has practiced ample questions. So let's see the difference between these boards. So GL and SET, they both have MCQ style questions with 1 correct options, and they both have a time limit of 50 minutes. And CSSE, it has subjective questions and has a time limit of 60 minutes. So I would be walking you through the various sample papers that we have on our website for these 3 exam boards. So you can see this is a sample paper for GL style sample paper. You can see on our website, we have mentioned all the instructions for GL style very clearly. We have mentioned that this is a multiple choice test, that the answers need to be marked using a pencil. We've mentioned the symbols that the child is supposed to use. So this can be very helpful if you want to mimic an exam style for your child right there in your house. So you can just download these sample papers and give it to your student. And they would, follow through the instructions and start solving the questions. So as you can see, the questions and options are clearly marked. And all the students need to do is essentially solve it in the space which is provided and tick the correct answer. So as you can see, this is the GL style sample paper. Similarly, the SET style sample paper is also similar with MCQ style questions. As you can see here, we have the question, the options, and a little space for rough work. Now, I would also show you the CSSE style papers. So these papers, as I mentioned, they are of 60 minutes and they are descriptive in nature. So as you can see, the pattern is very different here. we have the question, we have space for the answer, and as you can see, there's enough space left for the descriptive working out. So that's about the various boards. So a question that a lot of parents come to us with is, how can I assess my child's current ability? So for this, we have a couple of solutions. One solution that you can do is right there in your house. What you can do is you can give your child a full-length exam paper to solve under timed conditions. So in order to get these full-length exam papers, all you need to do is head over to Pi Academy, and you can see we have these subject-wise exam papers. So you can go to, say, maths past papers, and you would get these free to view. All these question papers are open for all to view. So you can get these full-length question papers to solve. What you can do is download these question papers, share it with your child, and make sure that they solve it under timed conditions. So once you've given your child a full-length paper to solve under time conditions, next what you can do is segregate the questions by skill-wise, if it is an English paper, and topic-wise, if it's a maths paper. And using this, you can create an assessment report. So I'll just walk you through what we do at Pi Academy as part of our diagnostic assessment. So for example, this is the assessment report for our maths diagnostic assessment. So here you can see we detail down what is the topic for each question. And we also provide insight into whether the child was able to completely solve the question or partially solve the question, or the question was completely wrong. So this form of an assessment helps you prioritize which topics your child is weak at. So you can prioritize those topics first. And if these topics are the more high, are the topics from where we generally get more questions, which are like algebra, geometry, then you would understand that the child needs extra attention in these topics. So similarly in Pi Academy, once we are done with our assessment, we also provide a very detailed topic-wise feedback for the students. And we also provide a recommendation and plan for how the students can improve their skills. Similarly, coming to English assessment report, here also we have the skills within 11 plus English, the various skills that are there. We have segregated questions skill-wise to test your child and see whether they are able to solve the answers correctly for the various skills that are involved. And similarly, after they are done with their assessment, we provide a feedback, and we provide a step-by-step plan that the child has to undertake to improve upon their skills. We also check their writing skills, and we do so using a writing checklist. I can show you where you can find the writing checklist here on our website. So essentially under 11 plus papers, when you go, you can see that we have creative writings. So in creative writings, what we have done is we have provided a creative writing checklist for all the creative writing pieces on our website. So for example, if you look at this creative writing paper 1 and you click on answers, you can see on the right side, there is a checklist. So while your child is attempting these questions, you can go through the checklist and see whether they are following the checklist, and whether the answer is structured properly, whether they have a beginning, middle, and end, whether they have used the right writing structure, correct sentence structure, and whether they have used correct vocabulary, language techniques, figurative techniques. So essentially, if you want to assess whether your child is doing well in any, it could be in 11 plus English, 11 plus maths, you could give them a paper and see how they're solving, and then check their topic-wise or skill-wise performance. Or you could book a 11 plus diagnostic test with us, and we would do the assessment for you. So we would recommend that right now, with only like approximately 3 weeks left for the 11 plus exams, we suggest that your children should be reaching around 85% of score. So yes, so I will introduce you to Pi Academy's diagnostic tests also. So here on our website, under pricing, you would see this 11 plus diagnostic assessment. So when you click on this, you would see that we provide 11 plus diagnostic assessment for various years. So we provide it for 11 plus, 13 plus, 7 plus, year 3 or 4, so on. And the benefit of this is that you have a clear preparation plan. You are armed with all the information that you need at the beginning itself. So you're not shooting into the dark. You know exactly where your child needs help. So you can essentially prioritize those areas. You can send them for one-to-one tuition in those areas, and they would then be able to score the best that they can for the 11 plus. So now I would move on to some 11 plus exam last minute revision tips. So the first thing, as I just mentioned, is to have a plan. So as we've mentioned here, follow an 11 plus exam revision planner. And the basic crux of this webinar was to share this exam revision planner with you so that in the next approximate 3 weeks, your child is able to put their best step forward. So in this exam revision planner, which is, by the way, completely free, it's a 2-week planner, and we have taken everything into consideration. We have listed down the major subjects, and we have mentioned all the main topics for these subjects. So what you can do is simply follow the planner, and you can click on the topic name, and it would take you to the Pi Academy web page where all the questions are available for free. And in case you're interested in seeing the detailed stepwise solutions, you can always subscribe to us. So in the planner, as you can see, we have the topic-wise breakdown for the upcoming 2 weeks. And we have also provided you a breakdown of the various practice papers and mock tests that you can practice in the upcoming 2 weeks. So over here also, it's the same technique. For example, in week 1 for maths, we have recommended that you practice these practice papers. So all you need to do is click it, go to the practice paper, and then over there you can purchase and start practicing it. So yes, coming to the tips, first one was to follow the 11 plus exam revision planner. Second is to ensure your child has covered all topics as per the 11 plus exam syllabus. So this is something that we again noticed. So for example, in 11 plus maths papers, if you go to 11 plus maths topic wise, you would see that there are many topics that sometimes get overlooked. And even like teachers in schools, they sometimes fail to prepare your child for these topics. So for example, if you look at, say, indices, or for example, within measurements capacity, or for example, if we look at charts or tally marks, within geometry, if you look at, say, rhombus. So what happens is these topics are very niche, and if the child has not been exposed to them ever before, they would really struggle in the actual exam. So we suggest that the child is familiar with the complete syllabus. Then coming to the third tip, we also suggest that you give more importance to the high mark topics. So topics like algebra, numbers, fractions, geometry, these are high mark topics. You would definitely be getting a lot of questions from these topics. So it goes without saying that you must cover them first, and then also make sure that the other less volume topics are also familiar. The child is familiar with them. Now coming to the fourth tip is to solve 11 plus exam board specific practice papers under time conditions. So in order to get these 11 plus exam board specific practice papers, you just head over to Pi Academy, hover on 11 plus papers, and you would over here get our practice papers product. So as you can see, we have GL, CEM, ISEB, SET, and CSSE. So you can just like click on this website, and you would be able to check all the relevant practice papers which would be useful for your child, and make sure that they practice under time conditions, because your kid could be really good at their concepts, but if they are not maintaining speed along with accuracy, they would really struggle in the final exam. So that is our fourth tip. Now coming to the next tip, which is to analyze the mistakes done in the previous papers before solving the next. So this is a very important tip, because generally what happens is with just like 3 weeks left for the exam, we try to rush the children. And we believe that if my child is able to solve 5 mocks before the exam, it means that they're prepared for the exam. But that is not the case. It's okay if the kid is only able to solve 1 or maximum 2 mocks, but it's very important that you sit down with them, or the child sits down with the teacher, and they are able to analyze the mock and see exactly where they went wrong, prioritize those topics, practice those topics again, and only then appear for the next mock. Because without this process happening, giving the mock becomes futile. So we request parents to please keep this in mind, that it's very important to analyze what happens after the mock exam is done. Now, going to the next step, we suggest that you create 11 plus revision notes and flashcards. So for this, we have some Pi Academy resources where we have listed down the major formulae. We would be sharing them with you after the webinar. And even on your own, you can jot down the basic formulae so that the student can revise them frequently. And finally, we would like to suggest that don't put too much pressure on the kids. Take short breaks during preparation. 45 minutes is the maximum attention span that students have. So let us focus on around 1 hour of preparation time followed by a break. So yes, so with that, we have come to the end of our webinar, and I request you all to put your questions in the chat box.
Thanks, Akanksha. All the parents now can drop their questions on our Zoom chat, and we will start taking those questions. Today we are offering 30% off. You can use a coupon code webinar30 and you can start making a purchase. It will give you 30% off. This is valid only until today. There is a question from Kaushik. What resources should be most useful to prepare for ACT Stage 2 exams? Yeah, so that's really good question, actually. And I would just like to brief everybody out that this is a very common question which we get it from many parents. In ideal world, you should not think about what is the exam board for 11 plus exam, because exam board is just it's literally an exam board. So it's just the format of the question paper. But what is more important is to study the 11 plus exam syllabus fully. In order to do that, as Akanksha said it to you earlier, on our 11 plus papers, if Akanksha, you can hover on 11 plus paper, then you will see that we have 11 plus maths past papers and 11 plus English past papers. We do have ACT papers as well under 11 plus practice papers. But as the question is which type of additional resources you can use it, my strong suggestion is to use 11 plus maths past papers and 11 plus English past papers, because we have more than 10,000 questions in this subscription, and it will really helpful for all ACT type as well as the GL style of exam. We are giving you the link on our chat as well here, so you can open those links and check those resources. Okay, so there is a question here. Akanksha, did you say that ACT maths is easier than GL, please? Akanksha, would you like to answer this question?
So Milan, I said the other way around. GL board is extremely tricky. And yes, so if you are preparing for a school that follows GL board, you should practice more, basically.
Yes, that's really correct. So GL papers are really tricky. In addition, I will just like to add one more point here. When we are saying that the GL papers are tricky, it's also really important for the parents to understand what type of GL exam their child is sitting for. Say, for example, if your child is doing a GL style QE exam, Queen Elizabeth Boys School in Barnet, which is a UK's top ranking schools, and the paper is way ahead than the normal other grammar school paper. So GL exam paper is definitely tricky, but again, it depends upon what type of exam you are aiming for. GL QE paper will be tricky as compared to Buckinghamshire GL paper. So I would suggest, again, coming to the same point as I said earlier, don't think which exam board is tricky or which paper would be tricky. The best thing is to practice all the 11 plus exam syllabus thoroughly. There is a question from Nandare. Is there a list of the high mark topics on the website? Yes, definitely. Akanksha, can you just open the topic wise list? And honestly speaking, you can't say that these particular topics are really tricky and these aren't, because sometimes there are the questions which involves the multiple topics. So it depends upon what type of question it is, and with related to that particular question, we can assume that this particular topic is tricky. Say for example, if you go down the list of this topic wise page, you will see there are few topics like algebra or a geometry, or maybe the function machines up to certain extent, bid mass. These are really tricky topics. Most of the tricky topics are at the bottom of this list on this page. So you can scroll down the page and you can see there is a algebra, there is a measurement, then there are the statistics related question. Within the statistics, say for example, Venn diagram, it's quite tricky for many children. You can browse this web page. We are sending it to you on the Zoom chat and you can have a look. I think this question is for Louis. Louis, would you like to answer this? How to best use English comprehension website exercises? So maybe Akanksha, you can open that and Louis can answer it.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not sure what they mean by website exercises. I assume they mean just the resources that are on here. I'm guessing that's what they are referring to there. Yes. So what we've done on the for the comprehension exercises is, and this is the most important thing I would say, is to practice your exercises per skill. So so here's an example. So this one's focusing on inference, right? So all of our resources are kind of focused based on the skill that they help you practice. And so what you can use here is our examples where we've got the question, we've got the hints, and we've got the model answers, and then like a bad answer. So the way that you need to use these is to practice the questions yourself, and then mark them using our mark schemes, using our hints, using the model answers, compare your answers to what is written here. So make use of the model answers and the bad answers to see what not to do and what to do. Perhaps focus, if you do a mock paper and you mark your child's work, or if you do one of our tests and you can see which particular questions are like they're missing out on, just select the resources that focus on that topic. Akanksha, can you go to the page with all the different, this one, yeah. So you can see inference, and then we've got other styles of skills. So if their close reading is a bit weaker, focus on those. Information retrieval, focus on those if that's what they're struggling with. Summary, predictions, we've got all the different skills. So have them do a mock, find where their weak areas are, and then focus in on those using the model answers to help you. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I just like to add one more point here, Louis. We do have the comprehension video resources as well.
Yes.
Because most of the time the children and even the parents, they need some kind of a very visual guidance, and that is available on our website. You can see we have a dedicated video courses page. On this page, there was one more question from the parent: what are the tricky topics? So here is the answer. We have all the tricky topics covered in the video courses. As you can see, we have comprehension, creative writing, algebra, geometry, algebra beginners word problem. This is amazing course. If your child master this course, they will be forever sorted with all the word problems. We do have fraction word problem courses as well. So we are going to send you this link. In fact, I have answered 2 questions now. One which is related with the comprehension, and one parent was asking what are tricky topics. The answer is here on the website. We have only put the video courses for those topics which everybody finds it very tricky. So comprehension, creative writing are again quite tricky for some of the children. And the beauty of our video courses is that we are not just giving you the video, we are also giving you a very, very detailed exercise after each video. I will show you, Akanksha, if you can open the comprehension mastery course. And this is applicable to each and every video course. So most of the time, the parents and even the children, they get bored looking just at the videos. And that's the reason why, followed with every video, you will get a short exercise, a homework, the quizzes, and a lot of other resources which are really essential to practice those YouTube videos. We have hosted it on the YouTube videos, so you can also do the practice along with the video. So the important point is watch a video and do the practice with the homework, quizzes, and everything associated with that particular topic. Okay, moving on. How to best prepare for HBS round 1? I think I have already addressed these questions. It's not just about the HBS, but for any exam, any first round, you can check our papers which are available on our website under 11 plus paper. If you go to 11 plus practice papers like CEM, GL, and ISCB, click on this card, which is the second row, second column on our website. And you can see here on the first row itself, we have GL maths papers as well as GL English papers. Both of these bundles are excellent for Henrietta Barnett School as well as QE Boys School. The standard of this paper is pretty high, assuming that these two schools are really difficult to crack. There is a question from Raisha. Do you have any written comprehension paper which involves writing answers in PE? Yes, absolutely. If you look at our 11 plus comprehension, I think Luis had just now walked you through. I will open one of the answer, and this is what exactly we have solved. We have all the PE techniques, as you can see, hints, model answers, and the bad answers. So everything is written very clearly here. If you click on the hint and references, we are also giving the hint and references along with the model answers, along with the use of PE technique. And as I said before, you can also use this resource in conjunction with the 11 plus comprehension video course, because in 11 plus comprehension video courses, we have exclusively mentioned the PE techniques, which is very, very helpful to any student or any parent. Yeah, so here you can see we have explicitly mentioned the PE technique. Okay, so that's all about that. For GL English, are the subsections have specific time limits? Also, what would be the ideal time to cover the comprehension section? I would give you a thumb rule when it comes to the GL English. I would say your response or the child's response time should not be longer than 40 seconds for any question. That's the thumb rule. You don't need to segregate it. Okay, comprehension section is for this much of time and the SPAC section is for this much of time. You don't need to do that. There is a question from Saish. Best resources for practicing spelling punctuation for the GL exam. We have a dedicated resource. We kept in mind that the GL exam is quite hard, and that's why we have a specific resource, 11 plus SPAC papers. Renuka, please send the link of this subscription to the parent, and you can practice all the SPAC related questions in this pack. So we have more than 1,000 plus spelling, punctuation, and grammar question, 30 plus test, and every test is segregated as per the topic. As you can see here, 11 plus pack salt papers. Also, we do have the kind of words, and many topics are covered like spellings or the punctuations. Everything is mentioned in this pack. Okay, moving on. There is a question from Julia. Is there a video course on the basics of algebra, please? Yes, absolutely. So on the videos, you can see we have a dedicated basic video course on the algebra. Here you go. 11 plus algebra beginner word problem. This is amazing course. In fact, I would recommend all the parents to go with this video courses. The entire package is for 249, and today we are having 30% off as well. You will get very, very important topic covered in the video courses. There is a question from Bela. Do you have paper special for choose all answers that is correct, like certain test? Do you have paper special for choose all answers that is correct? Sorry, I didn't get that question actually. But we do have these SET papers. If you can rephrase that question and send it to me again, then I would able to take that question once more.
I think they might mean, the questions where you have more than one answer and you have to Like,
Okay, that's
I think it's just
perfect.
one of the SET type questions. I think that's what they're referring to.
So that's a new format, correct, Louis?
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's just one of the like sort of unique elements of SET is where they don't tell you, well, it says select all that are correct, and you have to, they don't tell you how many there are. So it is a tricky type of question, but yeah, they do have some flexibility with marking. Sometimes you can get 1 mark if you've had a couple of them correct. So it's a very unique marking style, but those are the ones, if you want to practice those, they're in those SET practice paper bundles.
Yeah, I think we have the SET workshop as well. Whoever are preparing for the SET style, this is a dedicated page for 11 plus courses. All of the parents must read this page. We are having many courses in the summer, which are booster course, extremely great for the revision. As you can see, as Akanksha is scrolling down this page, we do have all sort of courses, including GL, comprehension, and as you can see here, we have 11 plus SET summer revision workshop. So whoever are preparing for the SET exam, they all can subscribe to this course. And as I said, today we are offering 30% off. So use that coupon code. It will straight away reduce the 30% from the fees. Here you go. In the SET workshop, we are having this outline. We are going to cover the schools like Greenshaw, Nonsuch, Sutton, Wallington High, and Wilson. And the topics which we are covering here are the spellings, comprehension text, and the comparison of text. Going back to our 11 plus courses, there were many questions on the GL and the Henrietta Barnett. I would like to show you, we have an amazing course specifically meant for QB or Henrietta Barnett or any style of the GL exam. As you can see, we have 11 plus exam GL booster course. We already had 2 full batches, which has already started. And now the upcoming batch is starting on 14th of August. Again, you can use the coupon code and you can take the 30% off only for today. We have batch 3, batch 4. So as per your convenience, you can definitely take these courses. The beauty of these courses is that we do have the mock exam as well. So this is amazing course just before the exam to brush up all the skills and take a mock exam. So it will be wonderful for your kids to have a very quick revision in an exam oriented point of view, in an exam format. I think we have finished all the questions, and I wish all the parents very good luck. Don't become anxious. Just do the consistent practice. Make sure you are revising it appropriately. We do have a revision guide as well. You can take an advantage, do the quick revision, and boost your child's level. I wish you all the very best and have a lovely Sunday. Thank you very much. Thanks, Louis. Thanks, Akanksha. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.